Okay. My bad.
Hi everyone, how are you guys tonight? You guys are live here on the Brush by Brandy Facebook and Instagram pages. And my name is Brandy. I'm the owner and artist behind Brush by Brandy. And I paint here live with you guys every Thursday evening. You guys, my husband Sean is behind the camera. He's going to help answer any questions as we go. So pop on and ask any questions you guys have. I'm going to cough, so hang on one second. Excuse me. Hopefully that won't happen very often. So you guys, I've been sick. I'm still working my way back from it. We've had COVID run through our house after I went to an event a couple weeks ago. I'm still in recovery mode. I'm trying to get back to normal, and I actually have been painting, which is a good sign. That means I'm feeling a little bit better. So we are going to do a live tonight, but I wanted to start this piece with you guys, and I'm going to show you this piece. This is not normally a piece I would ever bring home. A customer gave this to me. She asked if I wanted it, and I was like, sure, I'll take it. It has a lot of teachable moments on it because it needs a lot of love. If I was just refinishing a furniture, this is probably has like all the tick marks for least desirable things in a piece of furniture to refinish. What it has going for it is I love the style. I love the shape. These small chests. It's got great curvy legs on it. Let me show you guys why this is such a beast. Number one, it's already been painted, which is a huge red flag for me all the time, pieces that have already been painted, because you never know what they used. Most of the time, I'm just gonna make some generalizations, it's not the greatest paint job. That's the case here. Somebody used thick latex wall paint on this, and it's really poorly done. So while I am a fan of painted furniture, I am not a fan of poorly painted furniture.
She's got feelings too. Okay?
I know. Well, we're gonna fix it up, but I'm gonna show you guys where I'm starting on this one completely. Okay, so what is going on with this piece? Number one, they used contact paper. Contact paper is made by the devil. Okay, the devil himself makes contact paper. Thankfully, this is fairly modern contact paper, and I was able to, I already did one drawer, but I was able to pretty easily remove this. If I can get a corner, this actually didn't peel out too bad, and then I just need to use a little bit of mineral spirits to take this sticky out of the drawer. I just don't have affection for contact paper. It usually leaves a residue in your drawers, so just be aware if you're putting it on them, at some point you might have to clean it off. So I'm grateful that this didn't need a heat gun and it didn't come out in little tiny pieces. It actually came out pretty easily, but that was the contact paper inside the drawer. Now look at this. They also like didn't even try. Like,
come on now.
Didn't even try. So these need to be sanded. There is paint all along the drawer boxes. Thankfully not inside the drawer boxes. All along here. So this piece just needs even a lot of prep. Okay, it's just really poorly done. It didn't need a lot of repairs though. Overall, it's in pretty good condition. So I am going to work on the front of this with you guys, but I want to take you up top and we're going to talk about furniture strippers. Since this is a piece with paint on it, let's talk about taking paint off. I'm waiting for some camera adjustments over here. All right, so on the top of this piece, I do not have confidence that this is a nice wood top. I actually am probably pretty sure that it's not a very nice wood top. So I'm not stripping this necessarily because I want to get to this beautiful wood. I'm going to strip it just because I wanted to talk to you guys about strippers. The reason I know this is probably not a very good wood top, number one, it's got these massive holes in it. It had a mirror at one point. I do not have the mirror. It was not with it. So I would have to plug these holes, and then they're still going to show. Even when you plug with a stainable wood filler, it's still going to look different than the surrounding area. You're still going to notice that unless I could kind of faux paint in some wood stain. It's possible. I'm going to see what I uncover, but I don't have a whole lot of confidence in this top. So I did want to talk with you guys a little bit about stripping wood. there's really kind of a choice you have to make when you're deciding that you want to strip wood. And that is what kind of stripper you want to start with. This is the 15-minute paint remover from Jasco. It's super effective. It is nasty stuff. It's caustic. It will burn your skin. It smells disgusting. It's very effective though. It's fast. There's also a lot of eco-friendly versions on the market, and this is from Green Ease. And this is a nice stripper, but it is eco-friendly. So what you're looking at is effectiveness, okay? You have to kind of weigh effectiveness versus safety and, you know, using a caustic, nasty stripper versus a little more green and earth-friendly. So I'm actually going to put both of these on so you can kind of see the difference. I would equate a citrus strip as another version of a eco-friendly stripper. I'm not a huge fan of citrus strip. I usually buy this stuff because I use it for things like cleaning hardware. If they've got paint on them already, it will clean hardware pretty easily, and it cleans up with soap and water. Smells a lot better. I'll use this for cleaning my stencils. So I actually use this more as kind of an industrial cleaner than I do a stripper, but I do own it. And I just really want to try these two. So we have an eco-friendly version versus the caustic version. I can tell you, I don't like comparing these even because they're kind of apples and oranges. And I already know what I'm going to find is that the caustic version works better. It's just, it's more effective, but it smells nasty. So this is my eco-friendly version. I'm going to put a little on my surface. The other thing with eco-friendly strippers is, well, they don't have the high odor, not as likely to burn my skin. They have to sit on your surface for longer. This one recommends 2 to 4 hours for full effectiveness. So we're gonna put this on and I'm gonna let it sit, but I'm not gonna be live for 2 to 4 hours tonight. Sorry guys, sorry to disappoint those of you who wanted me to stay on that long. So I'm gonna let this sit for a little bit and then we will come back and scrape it. An eco-friendly stripper on a painted finish is going to work faster than if this was on a wood stained finish. So if I was down at the wood and trying to just remove the stain and the varnish, it's going to take a lot longer. It will remove the paint faster than it would a stain and a varnish. Okay.
Hey Sheila.
Hey Sheila, how are you doing tonight?
I know a lot of people have come on. Sorry, I got both hands tied up,
yeah.
And we're talking about stripper.
We're talking about Sean's favorite thing.
I didn't know that strippers worked so long.
Okay, so that's the Green Ease. I'm going to let that sit for a few minutes and I'm going to put on the second one. I'm just putting it on with a really old chip brush that I had used to put stain on. It's already ruined, so I just kind of throw these in a corner, and when I need brushes that are just completely destroyed, I'll pull one out. I don't want to strip this whole top because I am going to use this for a YouTube video also, so I'm just going to do a portion of it.
Have you ever used Easy Off?
Oven cleaner, guys. Okay, oven cleaner is great for cleaning your oven. It is not meant for stripping furniture. It is caustic. It is it's nasty. It's going to take a long time. I don't understand the whole oven cleaner thing. If you want to use a nasty furniture stripper, use a nasty furniture stripper. Why would you use oven cleaner?
I'm so glad you said furniture stripper.
Every video I've seen with it is that it's not very effective either. So I feel like it's just one of those things to like try it, but we have furniture stripper. Why would you, why? I've never seen one single video with it with anybody saying it was great and it worked super well. So I would stick with furniture stripper. So I've got a strip of my Green Ease and then I've got a strip of my Jasco 15-minute. I'm going to let these sit both for a few minutes. This one only recommends 15 minutes. The other one recommends 2 to 4 hours. So I'm probably not going to get the full effectiveness in the time that we have here today, but I'm going to show you a side-by-side what they'll do in that about 15-minute time period. So let's let them sit and we will come back. Actually, if Sean wants to come in, I'll show you what they're doing already. So you can see the 15-minute paint stripper, like I just put it on and it's just dissolving that paint. It smells bad. I have gloves on because it will burn my skin, but that one's already cutting through. If you try to rush things, you're going to be disappointed. Now the green ease, it's not doing the same thing, but I'm going to give that one more time. It does, you know, right off the bat, I know that one's going to need more time, but I can see, you know, how quickly that caustic furniture stripper is going to kick through that paint. It's going to get my paint in an application. I will probably need another application. If I wanted to get down to the raw wood, I would need to apply it again to then strip the varnish and the stain that are underneath this paint.
Oh, so, Sheila, we're in the garage. We are well ventilated.
Yeah, we're well ventilated. I have my fan on.
Doors open. We're
good. I'm in a large open space. So, you know, this is also the non-methylene chloride formula. So about 2 years ago, the EPA regulated methylene chloride, which was an amazing thing they put in furniture strippers that made them work really well. But if you breathe them in enclosed spaces, people were dying from it. So they removed it. It's not available on the market anymore. It means even this version is less effective than what was available just 2 years ago. I had some, I'm out of it now, so I've got to use even the safer version of this. And I'll already tell you that it is less effective. You can still get methylene chloride versions if you're a professional wood stripper. I've never tried to go about it. But you guys, like this, it's not even messing around. Like I could take and I could scrape this row right here, but I kind of want to do them side by side. And I know this first one hasn't had enough time, but that has completely bubbled that paint. And it smells really bad. So, all right, so let's work on the front of this for a little while those sit, so they kind of have, so we can kind of do an equal side by side. And I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about this furniture piece. I'm going to grab my sander.
Oh, sorry, am I in the way?
Okay. So I'm going to work on this piece with you guys. I think we're going to do this one start to finish. So I think over the next several weeks we'll come back and we'll keep working on this piece. But I'm showing you guys the first steps tonight, where I started with it and what I'm doing with it. Okay, so I'm going to pull this drawer out again.
Emily says, watch out. Brandy's stripping tonight. Yeah. Watch those numbers skyrocket.
Hey, anything for views, right? It's got all the right keywords in it. Hey. When I first got this piece, yes, this drawer glide does need to be just tack nailed in. I'll just take a little nail and I'll hammer it in and it will be right back attached again. It's just loose on one end. But when I first got this piece, all of the drawers stuck. Like they could not open because the person who painted it painted the bottom, the sides, the top, all around the frame with really thick latex paint. It had zero chance of opening these drawers normally ever again once that happened. So I know that I need to sand all these drawer edges. What do I plan to do with this piece because it's got this awful paint on it? I'm not going to take all the paint off. It's well attached. It's not chipping or peeling unless I deliberately try to chip or peel it. So for the most part, it's okay. This piece is not in great condition even besides. So even, you know, all my restoration fans out there, it's missing veneers right here. It's got a huge chunk of the veneer missing from this whole length right here. So even if I were to take this to raw wood, I would have to patch it just to get it to a smooth, even finish again. It's not a hugely valuable antique, guys.
Did you have to patch it once?
No, patch. Okay. 3 times.
I'm just
curious. 3 times on this.
Yeah, 3 times at least.
It's a big spot. So the first thing I want to do is I do want to sand this paint a little bit. I want to sand it to remove the paint on all the drawer edges. So I'm going to take my Surf Prep sander, and for sanding the drawer edges, I want all this paint completely off. I know that I need to go back to raw wood. It's way too much layers of paint for these drawers boxes to open. So I'm going to take my Surf Prep sander, and for this I'm going to use a fairly abrasive paper. This is a pretty worn one, but this is an 80 grit paper. Guys, listen to this. I have my Surf Prep hooked up to my new Surf Prep vacuum. Surf Prep just came out with their own vacuums. Watch this. When I depress my sander, it automatically turns on my vacuum now. Okay, you hear that? It has about a 30-second delay from when I stop pressing on my sander to when my vacuum turns back off again. But now my sander engages my vacuum. I don't have to go over and turn my vacuum on. I will have a video on the SurfPrep vacuum, pulling it out of the box, putting it all together and all the features on it. That's going to come to my YouTube channel pretty soon, but it's pretty cool. So I'm going to take my 80 grit paper and I want to sand this paint completely off these edges. So I'm going to sand See that, you guys? It turns off all by itself. I'm in love with that feature. That feature alone is amazing because it means I can just pull my SurfPrep to wherever I am and my vacuum will turn on and off. My sander is plugged into the vacuum. It's powered off the vacuum. So I don't have two cords that I'm pulling around anymore either. Okay, so what I sanded on here is I'm going to sand the bottom of the drawer, the sides of the drawer, this whole mess right here, and then the top of the drawer. Okay. What I'm also sanding is I'm going to sand inside this frame. And this was really nice because my SurfPrep is low profile. When I press this, I was able to sand. And I make sure I get the top because I want these drawers to be able to close. Yes, I will paint them again, but it's not going to be 18 layers of thick latex paint. So those will be, when I do my body, we will paint those to match the body. Now, on the front of this piece, it does have some parts where the latex paint is extra thick around where the hardware was, and I can get it to peel. Like I can pick this off and I can peel it with my fingernail. I have tested this. It is not lead-based paint. You can buy testers at the hardware store, so you do want to, anytime you're sanding or removing painted finishes, you want to make sure you test your paint for lead-based, whether it's lead-based. If it is lead-based, you do not want to sand it. You don't want to aerate it. It's breathing the lead-based paint that it gets dangerous. So this is not, but what I'm showing you here is I can pick this latex paint off. See that? That's what latex does. I am not going to remove all this latex paint. I can't. I don't understand it. But the reason that I did that is because I wanted to talk to you that I don't want to come and sand this with an 80 grit paper. If I tried to sand this with an 80 grit, it's going to pull and make all this paint chip. I just want to get the edges and I want to smooth this out. It's pretty well attached. I had to deliberately pick at that paint to make it come off. But I do want to sand it so that it is a smooth surface.
Holy moly. How did Sheila know that I have a latex bodysuit?
Oh, yeah. Does she know you're wearing it tonight?
Yep.
Behind the camera?
Lunges.
It's probably that sticky sound that you make when you try to walk.
And yes, I did get the dang COVID.
Yeah, Sean got it too. Okay, so I changed the grit of my paper to a 320 grit. It's a much finer grit. And I just sanded until no more loose edges pulled away on that paint. All right, now.
Now, will wet paint cause that to pull?
What do you
if you put it over the latex?
Oh no, scraping at it will. If I pick at it, I can get it to come off. But I just want to sand it. What is my answer to this furniture piece? Texture. I'm going to take this bad texture and I'm going to put good texture over it. So.
Oh, Yvonne, that is no joke. Shades of American Horror Story. Me in a latex suit, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Even I have.
Why do that to yourself?
Okay, so what do I plan to use? So I'm going to use Wiesel paint, and this is one of their new colors. So if you guys were watching, Wiesel came out with a new color line last week. Okay, I'm going to ask you to.
Yeah, I knew it.
On that cart over there is the new Wiesel paint in the 8-ounce containers. They're see-through plastic. There's 7 of them. I'm gonna grab those for me. Yeah,
all of them?
Yeah, if you can. Okay, so the one that we're gonna be using is called Earth. And I'm gonna put this on the body, but this is not going to be the end result color that I plan to get to. I'm gonna use this as my dark texture underneath, and then under my paint colors, I'll have that dark texture to expose. And I want it to end up looking like some dark crevices. We're gonna layer lighter colors over the top. All right, so Earth is the one that I'm starting with, but let me show you the other colors that they just came out with. So these are from Wiesel. These are their new 8-ounce paint containers, you guys. And they did a really, really nice job on these. So it's beautifully labeled. You can see the colors down at the bottom. They put the labels up nice and high so you can see the color on that. And this color right here, this one is Native Clay. It's kind of a reddish. It's got a little bit of a red undertone. It's very much the color of clay. This one's called Thunderstruck, and it's like a purpley gray. I'm using this on another piece now. That's a really pretty one. This one's called Fireside, and it is this rich, like sunset orange color.
Oh my goodness, of course it's live, Lori.
This is Joshua Tree, which is this fresh green. Ivory, which I love. They needed an ivory in their line, and this is a really well done one. It's got a little bit of gray undertones. It's not too warm, not too yellowy. It's just this nice creamy white color. We are definitely going to use this on here over that Earth. Of course, Earth, and I'm missing one. Oh, it's right here. And then this one is Red Rock, which it dries darker. It looks a little more pinky in the container, but when it dries, it's like this really pretty, fiery orange color.
So Sheila, I don't mean to scare you, but it's been a week and a half. The first 48 was hell on earth.
Well, I didn't even test positive. So I came home and I tested negative. So I was fine when I first got home. And then it hit me a day or two later that I got the fever, and then I retested and I was positive. So I did not have it from the second that I got home. It actually hit me with a little bit of a delay. And then Sean got it, and then my middle son, and then my oldest son. I mean, it just kept going down the line.
You get COVID.
So I'm going to pour a little bit of my Earth, which is this paint color from Wiesel, into a container, and I'm going to mix in some Sea Spray. Sea Spray is a paint texture additive. It comes in this container here. I finally did figure out it has a scoop inside. Mine was buried underneath, and so I didn't realize it. It's a really fine powder, and you can mix this into your paint to make a textured formula out of your paint. It's going to thicken your paint up. So I'm going to put a fair amount in there. I don't have an exact amount because this is not, it doesn't have to be an exact process. And then I actually want my Earth to be a little bit even darker, like a charcoaly Earth, and so I'm going to add a little bit of black to it.
Yes, salt wash. And then Royce is on saying hi.
Hey Royce! Royce, I got my package from you, Royce. And I have a piece for you too. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of black into my Earth. These containers are awful. Do not buy them. I put my black paint in here and I hate it. It's always clogged. I'm going to squeeze it really hard and it's going to blast out. I just know it's coming.
It's like a bad ketchup bottle.
Yep, there we go. Okay, I had to work past that glob that it had in there. All right, so that's a little bit of black, a little bit of Earth, and a little bit of salt wash. I'm going to stir these together. I'm going to have to mix this up a few times. This is a fairly large piece. I want to cover the entire body in texture. But if I mix it, the salt wash makes your paint set up a little bit faster. So if I try to pre-mix like a whole bunch enough to cover this whole body, it's going to set up faster in my container. So I'm better to mix it a little bit at a time and then come back and mix again.
Teresa says she's glad to see that your love for me is so strong that you share everything.
Oh yeah, well I didn't mean to, you guys, but right off the bat there was zero chance of me not giving it to my family because we had to drive an hour and a half home from the airport together. So right as soon as I got home, they were in the car with me for an hour and a half. Like there was no, and I was negative at the time, so there was no chance. I mean, it wasn't like we could quarantine and keep everybody safe. They had already been around me at that point, and I, like I said, I came home fine. I didn't test positive until a day or two after being home already. And then I got the fever, and that hit me. And people at the event were getting the fever, so that was like the telltale sign. All right, so here is the thickness of my paint. It's like peanut butter. It's like the peanut butter that you have to stir when you get it at the store. You know that stuff, like the stuff with the oil in it? It's kind of the thickness of that. So it will fall off my spoon, but it's pretty thick. And then I'm just going to apply it using a spatula tool. These are the Spread Pals from Redesign with Prima. It's just a silicone spatula. Ooh, my top looks good, guys. That paint is fully bubbled up. It's bubbled up on the greenies section, just like it had bubbled up on the caustic section. So the difference is the timeliness and how quickly it works, but also just the safety and you know, the smell of the product. So then I'm just going to kind of scrape this over my piece.
I'm coming in.
I don't need to get full even coverage because I am still going to paint this. I'm not trying to smooth my surface out. I'm actually trying to create some kind of random, like almost like the look of an old plaster. I'm going to scrape this on. And I have another tool out that I'm going to introduce too. I don't want to lose all this detail, so I'm not going to do like this, like a 45 and let it gum up along the detail. I'm going to try to keep some of this detail clear. I do still want all that detail. I just want to add some texture so that I can make a pretty finish out of this horrific paint job that somebody did. I'm just going to make it deliberate.
Sheila said earlier it looks like something she would do.
I mean, it's super beautiful, Sheila. Just don't sell it, please, ever. This is actually a bowl scraper, which is a kitchen tool, but I love some of the patterns I can get in texture with it. So pull out some different tools that you have and until you get the texture that you like. And I'm just going to kind of work it in random, like kind of half circles, scraping it over the top. And I can see the marks that it's leaving in the texture.
What's this color again? Earth?
So this is earth, and then I mixed a little bit of black in with it. It's earth, the saltwash, and a little bit of black from Wise Owl. And I'm just scraping it kind of irregularly so that it leaves texture behind. A little bit of my blue is showing through. That's okay, because I am going to paint all of this. This is just to hide the bad texture with some good texture.
I have that effect, Sheila. It's okay.
I'm going to add a little bit more right here because it's a little too even. If I don't like a spot, I can also use my scraper and I can scrape it back and then I can re-scrape the texture on again. So you have a few minutes to play with your texture. If it starts setting up and you weren't ready yet, you can spray it with a little mist of water. Mr. Bottle? Here's what I mean. If I'm not ready and it starts setting up, as long as I keep it moist, I can keep working this texture into the pattern or look that I want to get with it. So it's kind of fun, but I can see I've got kind of scrape marks in here. Like it does look like, it looks like old plaster. I don't want them to be super deep. They don't need to be super deep. It's just enough that when I put that paint over top, I'm going to have this underneath instead of gummy, chunky latex paint. I'm going to come do this section and then we'll go back up to the top and take a look at what our stripper's doing. What she's working on up there.
A good education for kids. Oh wait.
God, she's putting herself.
Is this a 2 o'clock in the morning stripper, or is this a
It's the
8
one,
o'clock in the morning stripper.
It's the one with the dark windows on the building. Yeah. Oh yeah. Not the 8 o'clock in the morning stripper.
Just like a Thursday afternoon one.
You never go at 8 o'clock in the morning one. I mean, so I hear. But if I was going to get an extra job, I would definitely be the 8 a.m. crowd. Alright, so I just kind of scrape it on at random. Again, I don't want it to gum up around all these details. I do want to try to keep some of these. You know, like this is pretty here. So I'll just I'll show you guys how I'll do the texture around that in a minute. And then I'm just going to work it until I have the kind of scrape marks in it that I like. I want to make sure that where the drawers meet up, that it goes all the way to the edge. Now I am going to get some texture in between my drawers. I obviously don't want that. I've sanded around the edges of all these drawers. So once I'm done, I will come back and I will re-sand those drawer edges, and I will just put a clean coat of paint on them. So they close nicely, my drawers don't stick. So have you guys ever done drywall? Like, where are my drywallers at? This is like a lot like doing drywall. Like when you are adding texture to walls. It's like plaster work. Up here has kind of dried a little bit more, and so I'm re-scraping through it and just giving myself some new texture. Now that it's more set up, kind of does some different textury things.
Randy Garcia, I'm watering outdoor plants with one hand and watching my phone on the other. Sherry says this looks much better already.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, it could have fallen off the truck.
Well,
it would look better.
I'm telling you, this is one of those looks, too, that it's going to look worse before it looks better. Because I'm going to gum this up with all this texture. So you guys just have to trust me that we'll get there with the paint. And I'm going to show you the next step. I'll finish the texture after I'm done tonight. So when you come back next week, we'll work on the paint together, and all that will have been done is I finish all this texture around the whole body.
Wait, I have to come back next week?
So a spot like this here where I've got this emblem and I don't want to lose it, I still want to add some texture, so I'm going to add it with a brush. And I'm going to kind of get it in there.
Get it.
So it has coverage. But I'm not going to let it gum up around those edges, because I do want to keep those. I still want to be able to see, the piece has some nice details, and I still want to see those when I'm done. So that's why I'm going to apply this with a brush instead of with the scraper.
Vivian, for me, it's because I have no talent. So it's much easier. It's much nicer to watch somebody else do this than...
It is. Even I paint, and I still like watching other people paint. Sometimes it's nice. It's just relaxing. I don't know. It's therapeutic. It's like, I'm going to scrape off this paint stripper. Like, there is something therapeutic about watching paint stripper be scraped off. So now I'm just kind of coming back, and I'm just using my spatula tool, and I'm creating texture so it all matches. Kind of the scrape marks that I have. Again, it doesn't matter if my paint shows. I really just want to create that texture. I got a little bit gummed up, so I'm just going to clean up around that edge. I want to keep the texture nice and random. So it's going to be pretty. It's going to have this kind of, it looks like a plaster look. This is not going to be my final color. Right now it looks like I don't know, got a little messy in the bathroom and then wiped my hand on
Claudia,
it.
just mentioned you're not getting it on yourself, and then you have to show, well, let's be honest.
It is on my hand. So it's going to look pretty bad when I'm done, but I promise you this will end up being a really pretty look. And the reason I chose this dark underneath, this is not going to be the color of my piece, is so that I can sand back, and I can use paint techniques that just show some dark crevices, and it'll end up looking like I have kind of dark wax and stuff in the recesses. So this is set up a little bit, so I'm just scraping it a little bit more and adding some different texture now that it's kind of dried. I kind of like how it scrapes when it's a little bit dry.
You missed a spot right there.
Shut your mouth. All right, you guys want to go check out the top and see what those strippers are doing?
Hello.
So this is what I plan to do. I plan to, and then even areas like this right here where we sanded this paint, I'm just going to add my texture right over the top of this too. So I just get some on my surface. And now all this unevenness, these spots where I've sanded and stuff, you won't even know that they ever existed. It's going to look like a deliberate part of this paint finish. And you can make any kind of different texture that you want. You know, if I take a brush and I dab it on, this is going to give me those big hills and valleys. Whereas I'm applying this with a scraper, it's going to give me more of that like plaster, old world plaster finish. I really like this bowl scraper. It's probably become one of my favorite tools when I'm doing texture. So I'll let this dry for a minute, and then I do like how it looks when I scrape through it when it's almost dry again, so I'll do that. Anyway, so I'm going to do this to this entire body, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. Create a texture that you like the look of, and all of this bad texture will go away. I'll end up with a really pretty paint finish from kind of a catastrophe when I'm done.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it's going to get there. Okay, where's my gloves?
No gloves?
I did paint my nails last night, and I'd like to keep them semi-decent, so I'm going to wear gloves. I also have, we put side by side the green ease, and then my Jasco stripper on here. When you use a scraper, I always get grief every time I scrape stripper off about using a plastic scraper. You can use a metal scraper, you just have to be careful. I obviously don't want to gouge the wood. So I just make sure that I'm not putting enough pressure on it that I gouge the wood. This is a softer blade, and this one is more firm, and then it has an angle on it. I actually like this one with the angle on it a little bit better. I find that it scrapes better. I meant to have a piece of cardboard out, and I of course forgot. So let me see what I have in the trash can.
Are you digging in the dumpster?
Yep.
Wouldn't be the first time.
We're going to be resourceful. Hang on, guys.
No big deal. We've moved on from watching paint dry.
Sorry. You guys are bored over here?
Yeah.
You know what works really good is actually a dustpan. And I'm just going to cover this one with my contact paper. Now, I know the stripper will eat through the contact paper, but I'll have a good minute or two to get it into the trash can. Okay, so I'm going to use my metal scraper, and we'll start with the green ease side right here. It's only been on for, what's that been about? It's only been about 15 minutes. It's so cool.
Damn. Strippers and dumpster divers.
Yeah,
New season
that's
starts
us.
tonight.
Okay, so it got through the paint, but I can still see I've got the varnish underneath. If I wanted to get this down to raw wood and really make this a wood stain top, I would need to reapply this another, at least one time, maybe even two. Okay, so that got that paint off really nicely. I'm at least back down to the wood. And then this next scrape here will be my Jasco version. So I would say they were pretty equal on the paint. But if I'm doing just, if I want to get through the varnish, the Jasco cut down a little bit deeper. But again, it depends on how you feel about working with nasty paint stripper. It does smell, it does burn your skin. It cut through a little bit further, like I'm closer to the wood right here, whereas here I've got a little bit more of my varnish left. Either way, it needs a second application. Even this part where it cut a little bit further is not far enough. So, and then I'm just going to scrape this. And this would go into the garbage, and I would be down to at least the wood. The other option here is I could do this single application and get through the paint.
Thank you, Sherry.
Anytime you use a stripper, you always want to neutralize your stripper afterwards.
Yeah,
this is the Greenies Cleaner. You can use mineral spirits, will neutralize stripper. Denatured alcohol, which I can't get here in California. But you always want to neutralize your stripper. You don't want to leave those chemicals in the wood and then put your paint over top. So I would clean my surface afterwards, and then I could come back and I could sand this too. I can feel it's a little gummy underneath, so it's probably going to gum up my sandpaper to do that. I would prefer to come back with another coat of the stripper so that I don't just blow through pieces of sandpaper. But I find with strippers, especially if I'm using an eco-friendly version, which is a little bit less effective, sometimes it's easier just to sand. Get it as far down as you can, and then you can come back with a sander. I'm scraping this the wrong direction. You want to scrape in the direction of the wood grain. I don't like this flexible scraper as much, and I usually don't use a plastic scraper. I just am careful that I don't press hard enough that I'm going to gouge into the wood. All right. So that worked pretty good. It got through my paint, and then I can just take this and ball it up, and this will go into my trash can. Covering your dustpan in a paper bag works really well, because then you can just take it and you just dump the paper bag off, and your dustpan is still clean, and you've got all your stripper gunk on the paper bag. So that is the process that I'm going to go through. So on this top, what do you guys think? Do you guys want to make this a wood stain top? I could make it a wood stain top. The condition's okay.
I'm going with the first to respond, and go.
I would just have plugs. I'm going to have plugs where the mirror would go. And there's no way to avoid those. I would just have to plug. You know, I could even put a dowel in there and sand it off even. No matter what, you're going to be able to see it. So I would have to plug those holes.
Stain it is.
You guys want to stain it? Because the other option is I continue my texture up onto the top. I just wanted to show you guys the stripper while I had a paint finish on here. I don't know. I'll think on that, and I'll let you guys know next week. So when you guys come back next week, we're going to continue working on this piece. Only I will have the texture on the whole body so that we can start working on our paint finish over the top of it, and you can see where that's going to go.
Of course, Cindy just had to dare to be different.
So you guys, this piece is about as trash pile as I would never pay and bring this home. If a customer had not given this to me, this is not one that I would be like, oh yeah, let me get that. I don't care what the price is, because you can see how much more prep goes into this. I have to sand all the drawer boxes, all around the drawer frames, to be able just to get the drawers to close. It didn't need a lot of repairs. It's solid. It's not rickety at all. It's got pretty legs on it, so it's got potential, but I would never look at this one and be like, oh my gosh, the find of the century. I'm so glad I brought that home. But even some of these bad ones you can kind of bring back from the brink of death with some of these products. So we're going to do ours with the textured finish. You guys, you can find the Greenies stripper, the saltwash, and the Wiesel paint are all available through Wiesel, and that's the link that I put in this post. The other stripper that we used tonight was Jasco, and then we're going to be using Wiesel paint on the entire body when we go to paint this. So I have something planned, I think, with those new colors. All right, so you guys check out Wiesel at the link that I put in the profile. Yeah, and I do have a YouTube video coming out tomorrow. I lied to you guys last week and said it was coming. It's going to be on the high chair that we worked on a few weeks ago. That's going to be my YouTube tutorial tomorrow. And then I'll get back into the flow of getting my YouTube tutorials up every week. So you guys have a great weekend. I hope you had a great 4th of July, and I will catch you guys next week.
All right, brief pause.